Festbier can mean only one thing. It means that we're in Oktoberfest season. One of the best times of year to enjoy beer, especially lager beers. You know, despite the precision that the Germans are known for, Festbiers are always sort of intriguing to me because they are Marzenbiers. März is the German word for March, the time when they were traditionally brewed. And of course, Oktoberfest is a celebration of the harvest that begins in September. So you got March beer being enjoyed in September, and they call it Oktoberfest. Doesn't all come together all that well, but it does come together in the glass amazingly well. You know, as March beers, these were brewed basically before the activity of yeast was understood. Brewers would have to rely on Mother Nature to provide natural yeast. And of course, in the shift from spring into summer, you would get wild yeast, spores, and other things that could spoil the beer that was being brewed naturally. So therefore, basically the last beer that an Alpine brewer could rely on making would be a March beer that they would lager in Alpine caves over the summer, which naturally selected the lager beer yeast strains that make these beers so wonderful and refreshing. Now you probably can see that this is a beautiful amber color. It's got a delightful malty nose, malt being the sweet component in beer. And a deliciously sweet initial characteristic to it that ends with a really nice, dry, almost nutty character. So there's a lot of complexity in a beer like this, and this was really designed as a party beer, and I'll tell you why. Basically, starting with sweetness, the tongue feels that that's sticky, agitating, and it wants to cleanse it off. So your brain says, okay, I'll take another sip to rinse that away. Well, you're putting more alcohol into your body, and you're also putting the nice, dry, refreshing character at the end of the beer. So this is a beer that can kind of get you into a vicious loop, but you know better than that. Weighing in at 5.7% alcohol by volume. It's not that big in terms of the alcohol component, but it does have a substantial sort of medium body to it. This is a really fantastic beer for food pairings, and we actually keep it on draft here at Victory Brewing Company all year long, producing it all year long. What we find is with some of the pizzas that we serve, the acidity of the tomatoes and the sweetness of tomatoes get cut, the acidity gets cut with the sweetness of this beer and sort of balanced very well with the sweetness of the beer. Beyond that, boy, a classic pairing would be grilled chicken. At Oktoberfest, you'll find rotisserie chickens that have been rubbed with garlic, salt, and pepper, and all of those nice earthy characteristics are so elemental. The spike of salt is going to help accentuate the sweetness of this beer, and that's a fantastic pairing. And another one that's been suggested to us recently, and we know as well from our friends at Culture Magazine, a fantastic magazine on cheese, is Festbier and Tarentaise, an Alpine-style cheese that's made here in Vermont, North Pomfret, Vermont, by our friends John and Janine Putnam. This is as I said, an Alpine-style cheese, so it has a firm texture to it, sort of some nutty sweetness, and a really fantastic component of almost like spring or green onion sharpness to it, which makes a fantastic spark of flavor against the sweetness of Victory Festbier. So Victory Festbier is out for September 1st, as most years, on draft year-round at the brewery, but now that it's available in these convenient packages, you ought to get yourself some and have a great Oktoberfest.